American Idol was the only reality show where not winning was a good thing, but you are living proof that not winning on the next Food Network star is also a good thing. How different do you think your television career would be if you actually won?
That's a really interesting question. If I had actually won, well, I don't know that if I would have gotten a studio cooking show, I think it would have been a really different path for me, because I think it would have put me in a position where people would have seen me as just sort of another in-the-studio cook, which is really not what I am. It's not really where my talents lie, I think. So it might have been more difficult to get the kind of things that I'm doing now, which is really what I want to be doing. I really maintain that it was really for the best how everything worked out. My intention with going on the show initially was to get noticed. I never thought I would win. I didn't think I would make it as far, as I did. And I was kind of shocked as each week went by and I was still there. I kind of constantly was waiting for it to be over. The fact that things happened as quickly as they did and they gave me Will Work for Food just really briefly afterwards, that was really amazing. And I became such good friends with Aaron, and I knew that Aaron really is that guy. I mean, all his energy and charisma is totally natural, and his ability and the way he cooks is a very down-to-earth way. He's not above any ingredients. He's about doing things fast, conveniently, and flavorfully. So I was a fan of his too. So, I was never really saying oh, I hope he doesn't win. I hope I do, because then I guess I would have felt kind of like a fraud almost, because, I've been a chef, but I'm not as trained as some of these guys are, and I don't have the experience in the background, years working on lines and things like that. So I'm really happy how it happened. I really think it was for the best. And there's also this sort of perception of you still have that underdog mentality as someone who didn't win, that sort of everybody likes an underdog kind of thing, I think has helped me.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. So now, can you take me inside the living quarters while you were on the next Food Network star? With a house full of chefs, did everyone take turns cooking, or was it every contestant for themselves?
Yeah, no, we took turns cooking. We were all really enthusiastic about cooking. Actually, probably some of us more than others. I remember Shane Lyons, myself, a couple of the other people were really into it. I mean, there was one night where Nipa, who is an Indian cook, she did a dinner. There was one really good time. I remember after one of the evaluations where it was we went down to the final 5 or something, we just, without even thinking, we just jumped in, and I was making macaroni and cheese. Somebody else made chicken, fried chicken, and somebody else whipped together a salad, and it was without even talking, everybody was helping. Everybody was each other's sous chef. And for me, the cooking in the house was really boning up for the challenges, too. I'd be practicing making a banana cream pie, and then I'd show it to Aaron, and Aaron would be like, you need to tighten up your custard, bro. And that banana cream pie came into play on the Vegas buffet episode, the second to last one, where, that was my biggest cooking achievement, were those last couple episodes when it really counted. So you never knew what the challenges were going to be, but you wanted to at least have it in your hands, or at least I did. I wanted to just keep cooking and cooking as much as possible. So I wouldn't say it was every man for themselves. I think we would always, extend the offer to other people. Some people preferred to do their own thing. Some people were, really wanted to be really healthy. And then there were some times where you're just so exhausted and kind of separated, and you have to go do these interviews that, there were some times where we just had to order in, But we were down the block from John's Pizza on Bleecker, so if that's ordering in, you're doing okay, I mean, we say we're all snobs. I mean, don't get me wrong. We did not want to eat crap.
So, after next Food Network star, like you previously mentioned, you went on to host Will Work for Food, which was a show kind of like Dirty Jobs in the food industry.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Out of all the jobs you performed, which was your favorite and which was your least favorite?
Let's see. I think one of my favorites was making cheese, because that's just something I've never done, milking the goats and going through the whole process of making like goat smoked cheese. That Nettle Meadow Farms where we were, they make some like really awesome aged goat cheeses. And just actually from going from my hands on the goat to making the milk to making the cheese, that was really wild. And I mean, who doesn't love cheese? And very few of us really get a chance to do that. I'd say my least favorite, it's not really my least favorite because I respect it, but it was by far the hardest, was working on the oyster boat in New Orleans, or actually in Houma, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Which, now I think about that all the time when I'm watching all the news about what's going on in the Gulf, and it just kills me because, like, I met these people, I worked with these people on the boats, and they don't make a lot of money, and they have the hardest job in the world. Like, if you're on the deck of that boat, you dredge up these oysters from the bed, and they're all covered in mussels and calcium deposits, and you have to actually crack them out with, like, a little hammer and cull out the mussels. And then you have to load them into sacks. And the sacks weigh from 95 to 105 pounds for an honest measure. And then you have to take that sack down the side of the boat into the cooling area, and there's no railing on the side of the boat. They're flat-bottom boats. There's no railing, and then you have to go into this cooler and pile them on a pallet. So, I mean, physically, that was just the most demanding job, and for what these guys make, it's, you can understand why oysters cost as much as they do, and now, forget about it. I mean, now it's like a lot of restaurants, I was down there recently, and a lot of restaurants stopped serving oysters. Oh, wow. And, because it becomes so cost prohibitive. Like, when you're in New Orleans, you can get a dozen oysters for $8. That's the beauty of eating oysters in the Gulf. I mean, they're not your fancy Kumamotos or this or that. They're just big, kind of fresh, not super briny oysters, but they're great for either raw, gumbos, stews, and they're so plentiful. So that's why it's killing me what's going on right now with this BS with the BP.
Yeah, oh, man. Now, I've seen you on a few other Food Network specials and shows, so I just have to ask you, what was the best thing you ever ate?
What was the best thing I ever ate? It's so hard to come up with one perfect thing. The one episode I did Dinosaur Barbecue, which is where I went to, that's a restaurant in Syracuse, New York, and I went to college in Syracuse, and that's where I discovered real smoked barbecue, and it sort of has become an obsession with me. I mean, we had a restaurant, the Smoked Joint. I did a lot of my barbecue on the Next Food Network Star, and that's probably still my absolute last meal favorite food is good barbecue. Whether it's like ribs, great pulled pork, or even like the smoked chicken, like that's what I always come back to. That's what I cook more than anything else. And that's probably my ultimate favorite, but an amazing cheeseburger is also as good as it gets, as is great pizza. My tastes are pretty simple, but I like really great. Like, I don't like bad pizza and I don't like bad burgers. But if you give me like a masterfully prepared cheeseburger, there's little else that can be better on the planet. Or like a great slice of pizza, which is so rare. And I usually don't waste my time with it, and I love to make pizza myself, but, like I mentioned John's Pizza, or I was actually just at another place called Keste, also on Bleecker Street in New York, where it's like these Italian guys that have this oven, that's cooking. It's a wood-burning oven that's cooking at 1,000 degrees. That's something you cannot do at home. Where you get like pizza that's just charred and crispy on the outside, but the dough is like soft and gooey, and the fresh mozzarella, and like, oh man, that's as good as it gets.
So, how do you think you would fare on the show Chopped?
How would I fare on the show Chopped? I often think about that. I think I would do a lot better now than I would have when I went on the Next Food Network Star. I've been doing so much cooking over the past couple of years to kind of bone my skills up and kind of expand my horizons, so I think I'd do pretty good. I think I would make it, I would at least make it into the second round.